What's up, everybody? Adam here, and I'm coming to you today with the weekly haul of January 27th, 2016. This is probably my smallest haul of the month and probably my smallest haul in a while. I actually had to stop at my local comic shop and Second & Charles to pick up the books I was looking for, though. My shop was shorted some of their titles and they only got a couple copies of the others, so I had to look elsewhere. But we're going to go ahead and get into the haul. First up, as usual, I want to start by looking at some of the indie titles I picked up this week. First one we're going to look at is from Valiant, Faith #1. This book was actually pretty darn enjoyable. I didn't really know what to expect from it. Kind of going into it, I had some hesitations because it's don't really know how to say it without sounding kind of like a jerk, a fat female superhero. And I was really afraid that going into it, there's going to be a lot of just really heavy-handed pushing of fat body positivity and stuff like that, like an agenda in the comic. But it wasn't. It actually was a very fun comic to read. And it was interesting seeing a diverse superhero without pushing a diversity storyline on the hero. So I really enjoyed Faith #1. It was actually a very close runner for pick of the week. So, still check it out. I thought it was a pretty good book. And then I picked this one up because I had a little bit of interest in it. Grim Fairy Tales Steampunk #1. I pick up most of the Grim Fairy Tale stuff in trade form usually. I thought about just seeing what this one was like. I read it. It was an okay story. I've always had like an interest in some steampunk stuff, so I was curious what this would look like with their character design, but in steampunk form. It was okay. There's really nothing I can say about it that was great. It's a very average story from the Grim Fairy Tale line. But now we're going to go ahead and get into DC Comics. First, we have Grayson #16, which is apparently the super awesome skiing issue. I don't really read Grayson. This is my wife's book, so I don't really know what's going on other than I guess he's, up in Aspen or something. I don't know. Then we have JLA #7. I haven't had an opportunity to read this one yet. I actually took an opportunity to read a few of the books before making the video today, so I'd have a stronger opinion of the stuff. But this is one I haven't quite had the opportunity to read yet. And then also, I was able to get Batman and Robin Eternal #16 that I missed out on last week. They had it pulled for me in my box this week. And then Batman and Robin Eternal #17. I'm probably 10 weeks behind in this book at this point. I keep getting it because my wife wants to read it, and I don't think she's read anything past the 3rd issue. But at some point, I'll get into reading Batman and Robin Eternal. And hopefully I won't get up to issue 17 and be like, oh, this book's kind of garbage. But, if you guys are liking Batman and Robin Eternal, just let me know down there. I don't know yet. And now we're going to get into Marvel. Like I said, this is a pretty small haul this week. First up, we have Old Man Logan #1. When I started reading this book, I wasn't really feeling it. I don't know if this is coming off the Old Man Logan Secret Wars stuff or if this was coming off the older series of the Old Man Logan stuff. I didn't really read any of that, so I didn't really understand a lot of the backstory to it, and it wasn't really gripping me. And the art style was kind of like wonky in it too. But once I got to a part where they kind of explained his past and some of the people he had seen during that time, the story gripped me a little bit more. And the ending of the book was really, really good. And the kind of gritty art style, it's pretty much very similar to that of the cover. It's a very gritty art style, it suits the mood of the comic book. So, like I said, I was hesitant at first, but by the end, I really enjoyed it. So, I'm probably going to be looking forward to picking up more issues of Old Man Logan. At least for maybe the first arc, just to see if I really like it. Because I'm still not 100% sold on it, but I did enjoy the first issue. Then we have Deadpool and Cable Split Second #2. Did not enjoy this issue as much as I did the first one. It's still very, irreverent. A lot of funny stuff is going on. At the end of the first issue, They were trying to stop this murder, essentially. And this issue, a new murder keeps happening again and again and again because they keep getting the opportunity to fix it, but something goes wrong every single time. And they find out that they have to fix the time stream somehow because of all these things. But, yeah, I didn't care for this issue as much as the first one, but I definitely like the Back to the Future cover. I like the little reference there. I thought that was kind of cool. Then we have, also featuring Old Man Logan, I want to say issue 6. Yes, Extraordinary X-Men number 6. I'm a little bit behind in this one. I want to say the last one I read was issue 3. So I need to hurry up and get caught up in this one, especially since I think it was issue 4 that had looked like Mr. Sinister in it. So I know I'm a little bit behind in this book as well. Mr. Sinister is one of my favorite villains. That's one of the reasons I decided to stay with this book. So I need to hurry up and get caught up on that. That's all the regular pool stuff, which brings us to my comic book pick of the week. And this week's comic book comes to us from, I believe it is IDW. Yes, it is IDW. And I'm not sure if it's a spin-off title or a miniseries or what, but I picked it up not really knowing what to expect from it and just thought it might be kind of a fun read. And I was not disappointed. This week's comic book pick of the week is Ghostbusters International #1. I have not read any of the Ghostbusters books. I just saw this and thought, that sounds like interesting. Are they going to go across the world hunting ghosts? Or are they, becoming a conglomerate? What exactly is Ghostbusters International? And what's kind of nice about this book is within the front cover, it actually gives you a breakdown of what's happened over the last, I want to say probably close to a year in story. It actually shows you where it came from, the issues it took place in. So I thought that was kind of cool. So you were dumped into the comic, but you still had an idea of where the story had led to this point. And they kind of go on this, they get called to the United Nations to get a ghost, and very similar to the movie, when they go to the hotel, they don't want to pay for it, and they're like, well, we can let the ghost loose, and a mysterious third party decides to pay for the bill and then wants to discuss some things with them in a future meeting. But it had a very good Ghostbusters feel. It was funny. The art style's a little weird, but in general, I really, really enjoyed this book and was very surprised at how well it was done. So I definitely suggest picking up Ghostbusters International if you are a Ghostbusters fan. And if you do enjoy Ghostbusters International, they actually have in the back of the book a little timeline that shows you what books you need to read in order to, come up to date with this book. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do. I'd actually like to see some other companies do that and include that in their books. So that's all that. And then I do have a super special bonus. I want to say it was back in September. I sent away one of my books to get graded. I actually sent away my Batman New 52 #1 book to get graded, and I found out it was the second printing, unfortunately, so that was a little disappointing, but I wanted to get it graded anyways because it's one of my favorite comic books that have come out in recent years, and it's a really cool cover, and it's a book that's been gaining a lot of traction in the last couple of years. So that finally came back in on Tuesday, and I got the opportunity to pick it up today. And here it is. Second printing, Batman #1, New 52, came back in 9.4, which I'm actually pretty okay with. Of course, I would have preferred like a 9.8, something a little bit higher than 9.4. But based on the fact that the way I keep my comic books, safe, I'm really happy that this came back like this. Perhaps I could find a way to keep my books better, to get a little bit of a higher, score next time I want to send in a book. But considering I'm just bagging and boarding, and this came back as a 9.4, I'm pretty happy with that. So this is another grade to add to the pile of graded comics. Got to find a way to display these things or show them off in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'm really proud of this. Glad this is a book I have because I have all the trades of the Batman, so I don't really need the #1 issue anymore. And I know a while ago I said I had a little poll about what comic I actually wanted to get graded, but I decided that I'm actually going to get Outcast #1 graded next. With the TV show coming out soon and all the hype that's going to be building off this book probably, I figure this one will probably be a good one to get graded soon. And it was one I read and just immediately sleeved and didn't really have a lot of interest in, read the trade, and still don't have a terrible amount of interest in the story, but, you know, for collector's value, I guess. But that is everything this week. I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me about what you're picking up, what you're reading. If you guys have sent anything off to get graded, or if you've got any graded books, you know, let me know. I'd love to hear about that too. So, until next week, this is Adam, signing off.